The morning the HOA fined my grandpa for walking his old Beagle, something in me snapped. I can still hear that paper crinkle, bright orange slip hanging from our mailbox like a warning flag. Violation, unapproved animal usage on common paths. $250 fine. Unapproved. For a man who stormed beaches in his 20s and built fences with his bare hands in his 30s, they called his morning walk unapproved. Grandpa just scratched Ranger's ears and sighed. "Come on, buddy," he said quietly. "We'll take the long way." His voice was steady, but his eyes weren't. That broke me. I've lived here 10 years. I drink coffee on my porch and wave at every pickup that rolls by. My father's folded flag sits in a triangle case on the mantel. We follow rules we can live with. We fight the ones we can't. And this one cut at our pride. At the corner stood the HOA president, Marcia, though folks call her Madam Rulebook. Clipboard ready, lips tight. She pointed at Ranger. "Leash is longer than 6 feet." And he stepped on the Greenbelt. Twice. "Greenbelt?" I asked. "You mean that patch of crabgrass nobody's mowed all summer?" She didn't blink. "Rules keep property values stable. Your dog is a liability." Then she handed my grandpa a second notice for verbal aggression, even though he hadn't said a word. He just stood there, jaw tight. Leather leash looped in his fist, that look he gets when an engine won't turn, and he knows it needs a new timing chain. Not angry, resolved. I felt the heat climb my neck. "He's 90, I said. "That dog is the only reason he still walks without a cane. You want property values? Try having a neighborhood where people still wave at each other." Marcia smiled like a teacher grading a wrong answer. "Appeals on the second Tuesday. Payment due Friday. Failure to comply leads to lien." There it was, that word they love. Lien. Threats wrapped in stationery. We went home. Grandpa poured coffee. Ranger curled beneath the table. I stared at the violation like it was a riddle. They can't do this. Can they? Grandpa took a slow sip, eyes drifting past the back fence, toward the old oaks. "They can do plenty," he said, "if no one tells them no. And let's tell them no," I said. He nodded once, then pulled out a shoebox. Inside were manila folders, deeds, plat maps, old tax receipts. Letters from the original developer. Turns out, Grandpa had bought our lot straight from the developer decades ago, back when he still ran his contracting business. He knew the bones under this land. "Every bully's got a ledger," he said. "You just have to find it." That afternoon, we drove to the county recorder's office. Dust on the windows, silence thick as a church. We traced the subdivision lines like veins on a hand. Private roads, Greenbelts, the Clubhouse, each with its own tax record. Then we saw it. 3 years of unpaid property taxes on the East Preserve Greenbelt, the same path Ranger stepped on. Not much money, but enough to be auctioned if nobody paid. Disbelief cooled into focus. "They're fining us for touching land they don't even pay taxes on," I said. Grandpa nodded. "And when folks skip taxes, the county doesn't send clipboards, they send auctions." At the next board meeting, I brought copies of those tax statements. Grandpa brought Ranger, who laid quietly at his boots. When our turn came, I spoke steady. "You find a veteran for walking his dog on a Greenbelt you haven't paid taxes on in 3 years. You've got 7 days to rescind the fine, issue a written apology, settle the delinquency, or we'll see you in court and at the auction." Marcia tried to bluster. "This is harassment." The treasurer went pale. Murmurs filled the room. "Is that true? We are delinquent. Where's our money going?" The board ended the meeting early. Executive session, they called it, which really means we don't want you to hear the truth. We walked home under the streetlights. Ranger's collar jingled softly. Grandpa patted my shoulder. "Good start." By Friday, they doubled the fine. By Monday, they filed a lien against our home. That did it. Anger burned clean into resolve. We paid those back taxes ourselves. Obtained the lien certificate and served notice. Cure within 30 days. or the lien holder will foreclose on the Greenbelt. You could feel the neighborhood split. Some folks brought pies. Others hid behind blinds. We're not burning anything down, I told them. We're making them live by the same rules they used to threaten us. On day 2, the HOA sent a newsletter blaming a few bad actors. On day 30, they mailed us another lien, this time for unauthorized legal interference. Grandpa laughed. A deep, rusty laugh. They think paper scares everybody. He mailed one back. See you at the auction. Asterisk auction day felt like a church potluck. Only the casseroles were parcels of land. Bidders in boots and ball caps, clipboards with real ink. The East Preserve Greenbelt came up mid-morning. Starting bid, back taxes plus fees. Nobody moved. The HOA's lawyer stumbled in late, out of breath. Grandpa squeezed my arm. Now, we bid. Silence, gavel dropped. With that single thud, the path they fined my grandpa for walking on was now under our claim. The county gave the HOA a short redemption window. If they didn't pay with interest, the deed would be ours. But Grandpa wasn't done. Boys like that board don't fall because you tug once, he said. You gotta find the nail that holds their picture up. Back at the records office, he found it, a forgotten developer's note tied to the clubhouse and a few future amenity lots. It had been sold, resold, and abandoned in a regional bank's portfolio. We made a quiet offer. Cash, clean, cheap. That Friday, the note was ours. By Monday, our lawyers served the HOA a default notice on their beloved clubhouse. The emergency meeting they called looked like panic-wearing perfume. I laid the paperwork down. You fined a veteran for walking his dog. You filed liens on neighbors for garden flags. You ignored your own debts. This is your chance to fix it, their attorney smirked. Frivolous action. I slid the assignment of note forward. The treasurer's jaw dropped. We didn't know this note still existed. That's the problem, I said. You don't even know the tools you use to threaten people. We do. We called for a recall election, exactly the process written in their own bylaws. This time the campaign wasn't loud. It was neighborly. Coffee tables. Folding chairs. Simple talk. We want a neighborhood, not a corporation, I'd say. And people listened. Election night, the rec center was standing room only. Veterans in caps. Young couples. Teachers. One by one. Folks stood and told their stories. Fines for flower pots, citations for bikes, fees for paying a day late. When the ballots were counted, the air was still. Then cheers. The board was recalled by a landslide. Madam Rulebook just stared ahead, clipboard limp in her lap. That's the sound of power leaving a room. Justice wasn't finished yet. We still held the Greenbelt lien and the clubhouse note. We offered them a simple deal: pay every debt within 30 days. Or sign over the clubhouse and the undeveloped lots. In return, we'd restructure the HOA into something fair, just roads and utilities. No cosmetic policing. No petty fines. The Greenbelt would open for everyone. Under one rule, respect your neighbors. They couldn't pay. When the window closed, the deeds transferred, legally, quietly, completely. We recorded it all. The HOA became history. Then came the real work, rebuilding trust. We ended rules about mailbox height, porch chairs, and paint colors. Kept the ones that mattered: safety, fire, roads. Replaced violations with conversations. Turned the clubhouse into a community hall with bulletin boards full of bake sales, not threats. A few of the loudest voices sued. They lost. Then they moved. If you want to call that eviction, fine. I call it balance restored. That next morning, Grandpa walked Ranger under the oaks. 8-foot leash. Nobody measured. Asterisk. The first Saturday after peace settled in, I set out folding chairs under the old sycamore. A hand-painted sign read, "Neighbor's Hour." No agenda, just coffee, stories, laughter, they came. At first, 2 by 2, then dozens. Cinnamon rolls, laughter, kids chasing dogs. Even a deputy stopped for coffee and said, "Feels different here." He meant calm. He meant home. Marcia Madam Rulebook didn't come. I saw her once at the hardware store. No clipboard. Just quiet. And for a moment, I felt sorry for her. Then I remembered Grandpa's hands shaking when he read that first fine. Respect goes both ways. We repainted the hall together. Kids turned the old violation drop box into a little library. Every Friday at dusk, guitars replaced arguments. Harmony drifted where no trespassing signs used to stand. Of course, trouble tried to creep back. One man swaggered in, talking about forming a compliance committee. I walked him outside. "Sir, we're done with fences that watch people," I said. "If it's about safety, talk to the roads board. Otherwise, go enjoy your porch." He blinked, then left. Door closed softly, like a choice being made. Some families left too. And that's okay. Not everyone's built for freedom with responsibility. The Greenbelt deed now sits under our family's LLC, open to everyone forever. The hall can never be sold for profit. The Roads and Utilities Board runs on sunshine, every dollar visible. Every rule voted on. These days I walk at dawn with a thermos in hand and Ranger sniffing ahead. When I reach that spot where they said we trespassed, I just smile. He's slower now, takes his time. Grandpa calls that earned privilege. One foggy morning I saw a young couple with a pup. They hesitated. "Are we allowed to walk here?" The woman asked. Grandpa tipped his cap. "Ma'am, around here the only rule is be kind and clean up after yourself." "Dog bags are by the post," she laughed. So did Ranger. That night, I set Dad's flag back on the porch. The sunset caught the stitching. And for the first time in years, the neighborhood felt whole again. Folks ask how we won. I tell M we didn't win. We remembered. We remembered that land and rules exist to serve people, not the other way around. That you can't threaten a community into being one. You have to build it. Cup by cup, Saturday by Saturday, walk by walk. A year later, we threw a potluck at the hall. Grandpa got a cake shaped like a dog bone. Icing read, "Approved usage, always." Laughed till he cried, fed Ranger the first slice, and for a moment, everything was right with the world. When the music started, I stepped outside. The lake was calm again, and so was I. A breeze lifted the flag just enough to make it whisper, "If you let the wrong people keep the keys too long, they'll lock the doors on your dignity." So you change the locks. Hand new ones to the neighbors you trust. And you leave one on a nail by the back step in case someone finally wants to come home. Sometimes the only way to save a neighborhood is to stop acting like clients and start acting like neighbors. Have you ever faced an HOA like this? Share your story in the comments. I read every one. If you believe some fights are worth having, hit subscribe and let's stand up together. Asterisk.